Betwabu, beautiful people. Betwabu, Betwabu. Top of the day. Happy Sunday. It is December 29th, 2019. Y'all, we about to be at 2020. 2020. Like, where did 2019 go? Like, wow, time has really flown by. All right, y'all. It is Sunday, December 29th, 2019, day 31 of year 2. We start the book of Leviticus today. A lot of people don't make it through Leviticus. Why? Because they can't seem to go through all the protocols and the procedures that Leviticus lays out. But we'll make a couple corrections today. I was learning about the Paleo Hebrew is the closest text to the original script, right? So some of the modern Hebrew kind of just is off, without getting into too much detail. It's kind of off. But so I was going through, it takes me a little while to kind of translate, but I wish I could have gotten all the way through Leviticus before we started, because there are some things in Leviticus that now to me make sense that didn't make sense to me before because of improper translation. So even when it talks about the animals and stuff that are acceptable for slaughter, even like with the KJV, it takes outward from the original text, and it causes you to lean into thinking something else when that wasn't the case. So it could have been an honest mistake from the translators. I personally don't think so. Just because of what was taken out and where it was taken from, it seemed very strategic to me. I'm just like, so it's take me a little while to actually finish translating this, but we'll be way out of the book of Leviticus before I get done doing this. So I was making corrections in my Bible and stuff, and I'm like, but okay. So we're starting with Leviticus 1, 2, and 3 today. So I got through a couple corrections. And I'll just point out a couple things while we read today. All right? Okay, so let's get started. Leviticus Chapter 1. And Yahuwah called unto Massa and spake unto him out of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Speak unto the children of Yisrael, or children of Israel, and say unto them, If any man bring you an offering, and here's something that was taken out, and I put it right here. And it's this, I'm making corrections in this Bible, but the print is so small in here, so I have to be careful. Make sure I don't cross out any words. Okay, so it says, if a man bring to you an offering unto Yahuwah, but it took out what the offering was. So it should say, if any man of you bring an offering of 4-legged things, that's what was taken out from the original text. Right between offering and unto, because right now it has, if any man bring unto you an offering unto Yahuwah, but they took out 4-legged things. So it should be, if any man bring unto you an offering of 4-legged things unto Yahuwah, ye shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the, and it says the herds, but it should be of goats and the sheep. It said even of the herd and the flock. By doing that, people think they can bring anything from their herd and flocks. No, only of goats and sheep. Okay, that's a really, really big thing. People may not understand why, but he was very specific in what they could bring if they were bringing an offering of 4-legged things. It's very, very specific. If his offering be a burnt sacrifice of the goats and sheep, let him offer a meal without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before Yahuwah. And if he put his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. And he shall kill the bullock before Yahuwah and the priests, Aaron's sons, and before the priests, Aaron's sons shall bring the blood and sprinkle the blood round about upon the altar that is by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall flay the burnt offering and cut it into his pieces. And the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall put fire upon the altar and lay the wood in the corner lay the wood in order upon the fire, and the priest, Aaron's son, shall lay the parts, the head, and the fat upon the wood that is on the fire, which is upon the altar. But his inwards and his legs shall he wash in water, and the priest shall burn them all on the altar, and be a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahuwah. And if his offering be of the flocks, namely, right here, God, of the flocks, namely of the sheep and of the goats, it shouldn't be of the flocks. It should be just sheep or goats. For a burnt sacrifice, he shall bring a male without blemish, and he shall kill it on the side of the altar northward before Yahuwah, and the priest, Aaron's son, shall sprinkle his blood round about upon the altar, and he shall cut it into his pieces with his head and his fat, and the priest shall lay them in order on the wood that is on the fire, which is upon the altar. But he shall wash the inwards and the legs with water, and the priest shall bring it all and burn it upon the altar. It is a burnt sacrifice and an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahuwah. And if the burnt sacrifice for his offering to Yahuwah be of fowls, then he shall burn his offering of turtle doves or young pigeons. And the priest shall bring it unto the altar, and here's another thing, and wring off his head. Ring, like when we think about that's something that's violently done. The original text is simply break the head off or cut it off or chop it off, not ring. That makes sense as you go along, but it's simply just cut the head off and burn it on the altar, and the blood thereof shall be wrung out on the side of the altar. And he shall pluck away his crop with his feathers, and cast it beside the altar on the east part by the place of the ashes. And he shall cleave it with the wings thereof, but shall not divide it asunder. And the priest shall burn it upon the altar, upon the wood that is upon the fire. It is a burnt sacrifice, and an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahuwah. And something else that I'm looking at too, I'll bring it back up. I have to finish studying it. Okay, I'll wait. I'll wait on that because I need to look up something else before I even bring that part up. It's here. We're gonna read over it, but I just need to double check some things before I bring it out because I'm about to read over it, but we'll just read. And when any will offer a meat offering unto Yahuwah, his offering shall be of fine flour, and he shall pour oil upon it, and put frankincense thereof. And he shall bring it to Aaron's sons, the priests, and he shall take it thereout his handful of the flour thereof, and the oil thereof, with all the frankincense thereof, and the priest shall burn the memorial of it upon the altar, to be an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahuwah. It's something that's done as a memorial, to help us remember why. The remnant of the meat offering shall be Aaron's and his sons. It is a thing most holy of the offerings of Yahuwah made by fire. And if thou bring an oblation of a meat offering baked in the oven, it shall be unleavened cakes of fine flour mingled with oil, or unleavened wafers anointed with oil. And if thy oblation be a meat offering baked in a pan, it shall be of fine flour unleavened mingled with oil. Thou shalt part it in pieces and pour oil thereon. It is a meat offering. And if thy oblation be a meat offering baked in a frying pan, it shall be made with fine flour with oil. And thou shalt, it's not baked, but you fry it. It's the words. And thou shalt bring the meat offering that is made of these things unto Yahuwah. And when it is presented unto the priest, he shall bring it unto the altar. And the priest shall take from the meat offering a memorial thereof, and shall burn it upon the altar. It is an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahuwah. And that which is left of the meat offering shall be Aaron and his sons. It is a thing most holy of the offerings of Yahuwah made by fire. No meat offering which ye shall bring unto Yahuwah shall be made with leaven, for ye shall burn no leaven nor any honey in any offering of Yahuwah made by fire. As for the oblation of first fruits, ye shall offer them unto Yahuwah, but they shall not be burnt on the altar for a sweet savor. And every oblation of thy meat offering shalt thou season with salt, neither shalt thou suffer the salt of the covenant of thy God to be lacking from thy meat offering. With all thine offerings thou shalt offer salt. If thou shalt offer meat offering of thy first fruits unto Yahuwah, thou shalt offer the meat offering of thy first fruit, green ears of corn dried by the fire, even corn beaten out of full ears. Like he said, you're gonna bring some meat, make sure you season it up. We black don't about to like no bland meat. Remember, because the things that the people were bringing, it was they were giving their first portion, their best portion, the ikweba, unto the priest. But you have to remember, everything that the people brought to the priest to give to Yahuwah in return gave it to the priest. So the priests were going to be the ones that was eating, and he didn't want his priest eating no bland fried chicken. Put some salt on that, dip it in some flour, fry it in the oil, bring it up, offer it, let my man eat. Okay. And every oblation of thy meat shalt thou season with salt, neither shalt thou suffer the salt of the covenant of thy God to be lacking from thy meat offering. With all thy offerings thou shalt offer salt. And if thou offer a meat offering with thy first fruits unto Yahuwah, thou shalt offer for the meat offering of thy first fruit green ears of corn dried by the fire, even corn beaten out of full ears. And thou shalt put oil upon it, and lay frankincense thereof. It is a meat offering. And the priest shall burn the memorial of it, part of the beaten corn thereof, and part of the oil thereof, with all the frankincense thereof. It is an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah. Last chapter for today, chapter 3 of Leviticus. And if his oblation be a sacrifice of peace offering, if he offer it of the herd or of sheep or goats, they put herd here, but it's specifically sheep or goats, because some people read this, they think they can bring anything from their herd. It's like, no, it has to be a clean meat, because my priests are going to eat it. They can't eat anything that's going to defile themselves. So the original text specifically says sheep or goats, not just anything from the herd. And they shall lay his hand upon the head of his offering, and kill it at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron's sons, the priest, shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar round about. And he shall offer the sacrifice of the peace offering, an offering made by fire. An offering made by fire, something that's cooked in the fire. All right. The fat that covered the inwards, and the fat that is upon the inwards, and the kidneys, and the fat that is on them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver with the kidneys, he shall take it away. And Aaron's sons shall burn it upon the altar upon the burnt sacrifice, which is upon the wood that is on the fire. It is an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahuwah. And if his offering for a sacrifice of peace offering unto Yahuwah be of the flock, or of of sheep or goats, male or female, he shall offer it without blemish. If he offer a lamb for his offering, then he shall offer it before Yahuwah. He shall lay his hand upon the head of the offering, and kill it before the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron's son shall sprinkle the blood thereof round about upon the altar. And he shall offer the sacrifice of the peace offering, an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah, the fat thereof, and the whole rump. He shall take, okay, so right here where it says the whole rump, I didn't mark it, but it caught my attention. Okay, when it says the whole rump, it's not talking about the whole butt part. It's literally just talking about the tail. Literally, just the tail. All right. He shall take off the hard by the backbone, and the fat that covereth the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the two kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver with the kidneys, he shall take it away. And the priest shall burn it upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire unto Yahuwah. And if his offering be a goat, then he shall offer it before Yahuwah. And he shall lay his hand upon the head of it, and kill it before the tabernacle of the congregation. And the sons of Aaron shall sprinkle the blood thereof upon the altar round about. And he shall offer thereof his offering, even an offering made by fire unto Yahuwah, the fat that covered the inwards, and all the fat that is upon the inwards, and the two kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver with the kidneys, he shall take it away. That is because that would defile the altar. Those are the parts of the parts of the body, or the N words that cleanse. Like you can't put kidneys on the altar. You're gonna defile it with piss. So things like that. It's like common sense. If we think about what's going on, we go, oh yeah, clearly you can't burn that up there because you will completely defile the altar. The kidneys gonna cook and burst and pee or whatever. You just said that's taken away. All right. Verse 16. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire for a sweet savor. All the fat is Yahuwah's. And the only thing that was burned on the altar was the fat. Like when I was going through, I'm like, oh wow. It's like some it's weird because when you translate it, not everything, but a good portion of it, you have to reword it appropriately because the way they kind of lump stuff together, it's like, okay, so even the part right here with the kidneys and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks and the caul above the liver of the kidneys, he shall take it away. But we know that the fat is burned upon the altar. That is burned upon the altar. Everything else is taken away. But it kind of lumps everything together here like it's all taken away. But it's like most people don't really pay attention that much where they would even pick that up, so they just keep reading for the sake of reading, and then it's like nobody really ever understands that, oh, that's all that Levitical priesthood, all that's done away with, and nobody gets it, and I'm just like, wow. So, and I'm still learning. It's really, really interesting, but it takes time to go through, and yeah, it does. You literally have to go word by word. And the person that I'm learning from, they're from Africa, from the Closer village, which they have the scriptures in the original text or Bantu languages, and you can tell because she was doing a side-by-side comparison, word for word translation, and some of the stuff she explained because it's culture, and she said you can do a word for word translation of things, and sometimes it still don't make sense because you don't understand the culture of the people, which makes sense to me. So when it begins to use like idioms or things like that, if you don't understand it or what happens in a culture, you just don't get it. It seems like blah, 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 or people just try and make it and take it and make it mean something else. And it's like, what? That doesn't even make, what did you just say? And people just chuck it all together, but I really like learning from her because she spent most of her life, although she's here in the States now, her accent is really strong, but I can understand her. And she goes step by step, word for word, and she explains it and how it's actually done because they still do it today. I've even watched some videos where they're slaughtering animals, and how it says, okay, this part belongs to the priest and stuff. I actually watched that where they will still divide the animal. This part belongs to them, and the women get this part and this. I'm like, wow, So, and at that point, I wasn't even thinking about it until I started listening to her, as she was going word for word with the original text, which I couldn't read because I'm not fluent in it yet. I'm like, look like a bunch of, I ain't gonna say Chinese letters, but the original text, which we aren't learned in, which we weren't taught, we literally have to teach ourselves. But things began to make sense, so the more I read and every time I go back and reread it, I understand a little bit more this time. So I'm trying to bring y'all along with me in my learning as I learn, but I want y'all to go check behind me because I don't want people to mindlessly follow me and just take everything that I say like, oh yeah, she's right, because sometimes I get it wrong. And when I realize I'm wrong, though, I come back, hey, y'all, listen, remember when I told y'all this? I was wrong. Forgive me. Here's what this really means. I found out this is why. Go check behind me. Everybody should do their due diligence and do that. But let me finish this. Did I read this to the end? Okay, hold on. Because I'm running my mouth. Okay, let me just start at 15 again. We only got like 3 more verses. And the 2 kidneys and the fat that is upon them, which is by the flanks, and the caul above the liver with the kidneys, it shall he take away. And the priest shall burn them upon the altar. It is the food of the offering made by fire for a sweet savor. All the fat is Yahuwah's. It shall be a perpetual be a perpetual statute for your generations throughout all your dwellings, that ye eat neither fat nor blood. Remember, the blood is poured out, the fat is burned up upon the altar. All right. Okay, y'all. So I gave y'all enough little detail or whatever. But there was so many other things in just these 3 chapters alone that were brought out, that were changed, that I wish I could have gotten it all, but we're gonna go through it again. But as we go, when I catch it, I'll apply it to the other portions as we continue to read through. But it's really interesting. It's like I don't know, it's like starting school all over again. It's really, really interesting because it makes other things make complete sense. All right, y'all. So with that being said, I'll let y'all get about y'all day here this Sunday. Y'all go back to resting if you're off again today, or if you gotta work, enjoy your day. All right, so may Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and lift his countenance upon us and be gracious unto us and our households. And may he give us his shalom, or his peace, or his salam. All of those mean peace, wholeness in every area of our life. And may he continue to keep us as we keep his commands. All right, y'all. I love y'all, and I'll see you in the morning. Peace.